Hello, welcome to Balance America Now. I'm Bill Corbett, the founder, and with me today is Gary Barve. Gary, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Bill. First off, thank you, Bill, for having me on your incredible Balance America Now show. I appreciate it. My name is Gary Barve. I am a youth supporter of our President Donald J. Trump, a proud Republican of the Republican Party that belongs to our President Donald J. Trump. And I'm running for United States Congress in Florida's 23rd District against Democrat Moskowitz and against the establishment Republicans to help President Trump make America great again, keep America great, and to help him save America. And the reason why I'm running, Bill, is because I love President Trump. I love our country, the greatest country in the world, the United States of America. And I love our great American people, and I want to help President Trump make America great again. That's why I'm running.
Well, Gary, we certainly appreciate people like you stepping up to the plate to put your life on the line for this political craziness that's going on today. I got to say that I don't know if I'd want to tackle that, but tell me, what are your first thoughts once you win?
Well, thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence. We're going to win this election. So we're running against a Democrat incumbent. His name is Moskowitz. And I call him beta male Moskowitz because President Trump is the alpha male and Moskowitz is the beta male. And, to be very honest, Bill, I'm not sure if Moskowitz looks more like a clown or more like a Smurf. I know Representative Comer, right in Congress, Representative Comer, the great Representative Comer, called him a Smurf recently in Congress. But I feel he looks more like a clown. And so, to be very honest, if Representative Comer and I have a discussion sometime, I think the agreement I would like to come to with Representative Comer is Moskowitz dresses like a Smurf but looks like a clown. I think that'll be a good compromise, right?
Yeah.
So Moskowitz is a horrible Democrat and he votes with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on most occasions, and he's destroying our country. And as a President Trump supporter, I will not stand for that, and we will defeat Moskowitz in the upcoming election. I'm also running against 5 Republican opponents, and happy to talk about it as well.
Let me ask you: have you reached out to Moskowitz to do a debate? It sounds like you're pretty heated up on that particular one. Is that the toughest opponent you think you have, or is there any tough opponent?
Well, I think we have weak opposition, to be very honest. The reason Moskowitz is weak is I think he's destroying our country. And so I believe as a President Trump supporter, I and we the people have righteousness on our side because we are the ones who are going to help President Trump save America. And I say that in my humble capacity. I'm just going to help President Trump. President Trump will save America. And I'll tell you what, Bill, I believe President Trump will win the election on November 5th, 2024. And I believe Jesus Christ is with President Trump. And I strongly believe President Trump will win the election. Moskowitz is a weak opponent, and we're going to defeat him soundly on November 5th, 2024 in the 23rd District in Florida as well. Yes, sir.
Well, I got to say, once we have a President Trump back in there again, we're definitely going to need to have people like you, because the last time he was in there, we saw a lot of Republicans just not, following him. The policies that President Trump is putting in there, we felt that they were good. We know they were good.
Yeah.
And actually, like any politician, people have to understand we're paying these politicians for results. It's like a business paying an employee because you are essentially applying for a job with the American people, and we appreciate you and we want you to be successful.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. So I'll just share with you one thing. When President Trump, I've made a campaign promise, and I've put this up on campaign social media. I've put this up on my campaign website, which is www.garybarveforamerica.com. I've made a campaign promise, Bill, that when President Trump becomes the 47th president of the United States of America, I will vote as your United States congressman, and we will be in Congress. We the people. It's the people's campaign. We will be in Congress. But I will vote with President Trump 100% of the time. I believe President Trump will need all the support he can get, and I will be his biggest supporter, and I will vote with him 100% of the time to implement his America First agenda to make America great again. I mean, you look at what Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Moskowitz are doing to our country right now. There's tremendous inflation. The economy is down the tank. There's tremendous inflation. You look at the border situation right now, the southern border, you have 15 million approximately illegal immigrants cross across the southern border into our great United States of America illegally, bringing in tremendous crime, horrific human trafficking, and deadly drugs such as fentanyl into our country. Bill, you have criminal gangs such as MS-13 come into our country. I mean, these are vicious criminals, the likes of which we haven't seen in our country before. They're known for their cruelty. And my number one responsibility as a representative of the American people in Congress is to protect and make sure that the American people are safe. And with 15 million illegal immigrants approximately coming into our country across the southern border, that's not keeping America safe. And so President Trump is going to have a resounding victory on November 5th, 2024 against Joe Biden, who is, by the way, the worst, most corrupt president in the history of our country. And I will, in my humble capacity, defeat Moskowitz and the 5 Republican opponents who are running against me in the primary election as well.
Well, I got to tell you, you bring up some very strong topics there. The border, for instance, is a terrible one. I'm afraid it's going to be a lot more than 15 million by the time this all comes out. But we do have to do something about this because there, people. There's another spin on this stuff with people coming into the country illegally, and most people don't really understand that our dollar is connected to the hard work of the American people.
That's right.
Now, the only American people that count on that dollar are the American citizens themselves.
Yes,
now,
agreed.
The problem is every time you bring somebody into the country and they're using our dollar and they're living off of our dollar, and even if it's free money or whatever people want to say that these people are getting, and I happen to know that's true because I've been in areas and I've seen them whip out those government cards and I've asked them, and they have no problem with telling me that they get this money on their account every month, and they're not citizens. Now, this is a problem because since our dollar is backed by the hard work of the American citizens,
yes,
it means that we're paying the way, and we're in debt as it is. Our dollar drops, and every time our dollar drops, the percentage of that dollar goes on each American citizen's head. It does not go on the illegals. Now, that undermines our country, and if you're wondering why your tax bases are so high and why everything is just going up out of sight, that's a big part of the problem. It's not the whole problem, but it's a big part of the problem. So, Gary, by you addressing that subject, I got to commend you, sir, because that is something that really has to be looked at hard.
Well, can I just say one real quick thing?
Yes.
I will tell you what, my loyalty as an American first, as a candidate for office, and I'll say when we get elected to Congress, my loyalty lies with the American people and not with the illegal immigrants coming into our country. And, my loyalty lies, for example, towards our great American veterans, right? These are people who are selflessly sacrificed for our country, who have tremendous courage for our country. And what's Joe Biden doing? Joe Biden is spending over $1 billion with a B on housing illegal immigrants, while we have 33,000 homeless veterans in our country. I would like to get to a point where that amount, to a large extent, is allocated towards supporting our veterans. We should have zero veteran homelessness, zero veteran joblessness, and a lot of support when it comes to mental health services for our great American veterans. My loyalty lies towards the people who served our country and not towards the people who are in our country illegally.
Yeah, and that's very important. The veterans are number one. They fought for our country. They helped keep us safe. And we have to have a strong leadership, and we have to have a balanced America. And on top of that, let's look further than the veterans. Let's look at the people today. Everybody's neighborhood, we're starting to see homelessness. Homelessness is just growing out of sight. And these aren't just people that decided they were going to be on drugs and have problems that way. I see actual families, American families, out living in tents because they cannot afford a place to live. And these are all things that have to be addressed. We should not be spending money or sending money outside this country if we have these kind of problems. And actually, we're being told every day we're broke. We're trillions and trillions of dollars in debt. What are we reaching, 43 trillion right now?
A little bit under that, but you're right. I mean, let me talk about the homelessness situation in our country right now. President Trump has said very strongly as part of his America First agenda that we have to solve the homelessness crisis, but we cannot have people homeless on the streets, American people homeless on our streets. So what he has recommended is we open up large parcels of land, inexpensive land, and build what he calls tent cities. And these homeless, unfortunately, that's the situation we're dealing with. You have some homeless people in our country, but they're American people, and we'll take care of them. But we'll take care of them not by putting them in luxury hotels and hotel rooms, but by solving the underlying issue. That's the way we resolve this issue. So President Trump has said very strongly that he will have doctors and physicians and experts address the situation in these 10 cities. And those homeless people who can be immediately integrated and who are, down on their luck temporarily, can be immediately integrated into the society, will be integrated into the society. And then those with, drug problems and a lot of other severe issues, it's a tough situation, but we will try and solve it. It's a tough situation, but the goal is to solve the underlying issue and give respectability to the people who are homeless and not just give them a blank check. That is what President Trump, that's my understanding of what President Trump believes in. And like I said, I'm supporting his agenda 100%. I love President Trump, so I'm supporting his agenda 100%.
Well, it's pretty obvious you love President Trump.
Yes, sir.
That's a good thing. So, with the homeless, not giving people a blank check is actually a very important thing because we have to reevaluate what's going on in this country. One of the things that I often think about is across our nation, in every state and county, we have empty government buildings. So we wouldn't even really have to go out and look on the land. We could use these government buildings. We own them anyway. As we the people, we paid for these buildings, so we own them. So we could just use them. We could build them out. It'd be cheaper to build them out that way and then bringing the proper help in. But on top of that, a lot of the people that are out there homeless, and honestly, a lot of the homeless are some of our veterans, and it's very sad.
It is very sad. I agree. Yes.
But we need to introduce them back into society with skills or something. Do you realize how many veterans I talk to that tell me, and they're not here but just a few years back, and they say, the only thing I learned to do is to kill. I don't know what else to do.
Well, I will tell you what. Our veterans are great people. I said this on Memorial Day as well at an event, and I said this on social media. There are many reasons why I love our great American veterans, but two of those reasons is, number one, it is completely selfless. Being a veteran, when you see, it makes me very sad to see a veteran with a broken arm or a broken leg or a missing arm or a missing leg, or to hear about a veteran who lost his or her life in battle for our country. And the second reason why I respect our veterans is the courage. So, I feel, this is my humble opinion, we should aim for zero veteran homelessness, and that's it. And so if that means providing for a veteran who is disabled and who cannot work, that's okay. We'll do that. I support our veterans 100%. And again, everything I say is superseded by President Trump's agenda. I've made a campaign promise that I support President Trump's agenda 100%, and I will keep all my promises. That is something that I'm very strong about. But that is my humble opinion. I support our veterans 100%. I think they're great people who have served us, and it is time we start serving them. And Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Moskowitz are not doing that. President Trump is.
Well, it's no doubt that we have many people out there, including our current leader, I should say, that they're opportunists, is what they are. And any time a president goes in there, Balance America Now takes the position that we want all, no matter what party they're in, we want all of our elected, which are our employees, to be successful, because we're paying for them. We're paying every nickel that goes out to their salaries. Everything. It's you're our employees, and we want you to be successful. And America, the USA, is our business, and we want it successful. So at this point, there's no doubt that our veterans have paid the price. They paid the ultimate price. And honestly, when they come back after paying that price, they really shouldn't have to worry about working again. They've done
Agreed.
what they had to do.
Agreed.
And so we should do that.
Yes.
And that's why that's a very important
and Bill,
issue.
Bill, you look at the frivolous spending by the Democrat Party. They're spending on the horrendous Green New Deal. They're spending on giving money to corrupt countries. They're spending on illegal immigrants, like you correctly mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
This money, part of it at least, a large part of it, I'll say, could be reallocated towards our veterans, police, sheriffs, ICE, military, firefighters, first responders. These are great people who fight for the American people. And so we're taking care of the illegal immigrant who is coming into our country and taking the American taxpayer money and spending it on the person who is not an American. And then we have our great police officers, sheriffs, ICE, military, veterans, firefighters, first responders who have served the American people and are serving the American people. And we're not taking care of these people, these great people.
Yep.
I think the Democrat Party, I'll tell you what, Bill, the Democrat Party has left the country behind. And we're not going to stand for it. President Trump will win on November 5th, 2024. And we, the people, will take the country back and make America great again.
Well, you know, I'm much older than you, and I remember a time when the Democrat Party was considered the people's party, and I used to say that, you know. And over time, I meet many Democrats that are actually, they just can't believe that it's not the party they joined, and you know, we really have a problem going on in this country, and you know, you can take any subject at all, just pick any subject at all, and it's a mess. It's a mess. Our food is a mess. I spoke to you, Gary, earlier about most of our food being bioengineered. People, I got to tell you, read your packaging. If you pick it up, it says bioengineered, put it back on the shelves. If you leave this stuff back on the shelves enough and it doesn't sell, they're going to have to stop the thing. And hopefully, Gary, when you get in office, and I believe you are, and by the way, Balance America Now, I had a long conversation with Gary. I got to know him very well, and we do endorse you.
Thank you, sir.
We endorse you, Gary.
I appreciate.
You are absolutely the candidate and a person that we'd like to hire. So
Thank you.
At this point, I just want you to know that we have a lot of issues, and you know, and it just doesn't stop with the typical policies of the border and everything else. It starts with our food, our health. You know, I remember one of the things when President Trump was in there, he talked about including in health care at least free dental. And he brought out a strong point that every disease is actually connected to your teeth, which I thought was interesting. So I've always felt President Trump was a president that thought about the welfare of the country in
yes.
every level, because we have a lot of problems in every level. And unless we actually started taking care of this stuff, it's time that we set things aside and we fix this country for good. Getting back to this Green New Deal stuff, if they really meant the Green New Deal, let's take electric cars, for instance. Most people that know me know I happen to be in the battery business, so I happen to know a lot about this stuff. And what happens is the technology behind these batteries and these electric cars is not good. And the reason it's not good is because they put this little computerized board in there. It's called a BMS system. And they fail, and they're built inside the batteries, or they're built inside that big battery under your car. So when those things fail, okay, the whole system has to be changed. And I hate to tell you that we have technology from a long time ago, before I was even born, that they can make a car go forever on a battery. And there's ways to charge them while you're driving. And I know people are going to sit there and say, oh, that's crazy. But I'm going to tell you, the technology is there. We've had it. It's just not profitable. It's not profitable.
Well, I'll tell you what. President Trump has said very strongly, we want school choice and we want car choice. This is not some sort of a dictatorship by the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Moskowitz administration where you say 67% of the vehicles in the next few years have to be electric vehicles. Number one, it will kill the automotive industry in places like South Carolina, Michigan, right? Hundreds of thousands of jobs. These are great American people. I know the union heads tend to support the Democrat Party, but the people are with President Trump. The American people are with President Trump. And so you lose 100,000 jobs because guess where these electric vehicles will be manufactured, Bill? You know that. China.
Yeah, they're already doing it. They're
And
doing
so,
it. They're doing
yeah.
it to golf carts now. They're bringing them in from China. They're assembling in the United States. They just put the sticker that says USA on them. People today, they don't pay attention that much, and a lot of these golf carts right now, you can't even get parts for them. So we have big problems here. We have huge problems here, and it just, we can talk. I mean, look, healthcare, another thing, healthcare. I mean, honestly, I went holistic. I went holistic a long time ago, and the reason is because the healthcare system failed me. It failed me in a big way, and by going holistic, I was able to resolve my issues, and it's the cheapest way out. And then along came Obama, and he tried to push this health care down our throats and force you, which to this very day I felt unconstitutional. It was unconstitutional.
Well, I'll tell you what President Trump did when it comes to healthcare, Bill. Number one, he did something called as right to try. And I'm sure you know about it,
Yes.
right to try. So there were many people who were terminally ill, but because of right to try, these great American people were able to get treatment, and many of them were able to live a long life.
Yes.
And are still living. And then he did something, President Trump did something called as, I think it's called the most favored nation rule, which essentially means, the way I understand it, is the pharmaceutical companies have to provide the American people the same discounts that they provide to people in foreign countries. And so that's another great thing. And he also increased competition in the healthcare market. So that's the third great thing. And the other important thing is President Trump has said very strongly that he will not cut a penny from Medicare and Social Security. I think that's very important as well. So look, I'll tell you what, Bill, President Trump has the most common sense America First agenda that our country has ever had. I have zero doubt about it in my mind. And so that's, it makes my job a little bit simple, right? I'm just following President Trump 100%.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's the greatest leader our country has ever had. And I'll say this, he's the greatest president and the greatest leader our country will ever have. And, we will make sure that he wins the election on November 5th, 2024, and support him in Congress as well. Yes, sir.
You better be careful, Gary. You might be picked as vice president.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm on the list for that, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know if you're asking that seriously or maybe you're not. But
Well, I got to tell you, you sure have a lot of knowledge on President Trump.
well, I've read all his books. Well, not all his books. I've read Think Big, which is my favorite book after the Bible.
Okay.
I believe Bible is the word of God, but Think Big is a tremendous book, and he has written that book in a great way. And I've read that book on audiobook 4 to 5 times. And he talks about some tremendous advice. I've learned a lot about President Trump and about how to be successful in the right way for our country from that book. And I've also read Think Like a Champion to a certain extent. I'm reading right now Never Give Up by President Trump. And so he's had a tremendous influence on my life. And I'll share with you a couple of things. There are many reasons, Bill, why I love President Trump. I'll share with you 2 reasons. Number one, he's fighting for our country in a way that no man has fought for our country before, especially because of the political weaponization of the Department of Justice by the corrupt Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Moskowitz Democrat Party to take out their number one political opponent, President Trump. And it's very sad to see. It's really, I'll be honest with you, Bill, it's a disgrace to our country. This political weaponization of the Department of Justice is a disgrace to our country. And I hate to say it because I love the country, but it's true. And, you look at Alvin Bragg. I call him Fat Alvin. Alvin Bragg, Fannie Willis, Jack Smith, McCann. These are just pawns of the Democrat Party, and they're destroying our country. I mean, I want to talk about this. You look at yesterday's guilty verdict against President Trump on 34 counts. I really think it's a disgrace to our country. I made a post on campaign social media almost immediately. President Trump is 100% innocent, and these charges are being brought against him because he's fighting for America and wants to make America great again. He's fighting for the American people, whereas Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Moskowitz are fighting for their power grab. And we're not going to let that happen. And like I said, I believe Jesus Christ is with President Trump, and he will become the 47th president of the United States of America, and we will make America great again.
Well, that's good. Just, people remember one thing, that what is happening to President Trump in court right now, they could do it to any one of us at all. Do you realize that Bill Clinton, when he was president, he did a hell of a lot worse. He paid off women a hell of a lot bigger than that. And in this case and everything, from what I understand, President Trump never even paid this person. It came from his lawyer.
Well, there's number one, there's no falsification of business records. There is no falsification of business records, and it's completely innocent. President Trump is 100% innocent. And you look at the other, I believe, 3 indictments against President Trump. So think about it, right, Bill? President Trump announces, I believe on November 15th, 2022, he makes the announcement he's officially running for president of the United States of America in the 2024 election cycle. And then you have indictment 1, indictment 2, indictment 3, indictment 4. What does that tell you? It tells you that the real threat to democracy is Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Moskowitz, and the Democrat Party. President Trump and the Trump Republican Party, Bill, that you and me are a part of, is the most peace-loving Republican Party that there ever has been. Patriotic. We are patriotic people. You look at the rallies, the recent New Jersey rally, for example. 100,000 people showed up for that rally, Bill, in New Jersey.
Yeah.
More than 100,000 people showed up in New Jersey. Yeah. And so, he's getting tremendous support from everywhere. And I believe New Jersey is in play, New York is in play, Virginia is in play. And President Trump is going to, what's the phrase? Run the table? Is that I think that's the right phrase.
That's the phrase they use, yeah.
He's going to run the table with this election. And look, there will be challenges because we have a corrupt Democrat Party against us. But you know what? We're going to fight this really, really bad Democrat Party as a Republican supporter of President Trump. I'm going to fight it in my humble capacity. And President Trump is going to fight it. I know that. And he's going to win. And we're going to prevail as a country and as the American people.
Well, every one of us have to fight it in our own capacity, and it's our obligation. And I got to say and everything that you're a great candidate, and we
thank you, sir.
We love having you on here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to see your people like you coming forward. Because the American people don't really understand when you have an honest politician coming forward. They're not coming in it for the money. They're not doing that for the money. They're afraid. They're afraid just like you are. They're afraid of what's happening to the country. They're afraid someday they're going to wake up and their bank accounts are going to be worthless, just like, many countries. Venezuela, for instance. I happen to know people from Venezuela, and they account and tell me how they woke up one day and people were just throwing the money in the banks were emptying their bank vaults out and throwing the money in the streets because it was worthless.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bill. Fear is a real thing, but I think I've said this during an interview many years back. I think I have the tendency to try and conquer fear. I think that, especially if it's to fight for my country. And so I said this during a recent radio interview as well. Because of the political weaponization of the Department of Justice against President Trump supporters, and candidates supporting President Trump, I run the risk of being incarcerated, or in other words, being jailed for fighting for my country. But you know what? If that happens, I'll wear it as a badge of honor because I know I'm fighting for the very survival of our country. And I'll tell you what, you and me as President Trump supporters, Bill, we have righteousness on our side because we know we're fighting for the very survival of our country, whereas the opposition Democrat Party is hell-bent on destroying our country. But we're going to win this, and we're going to defeat the Democrat Party at the ballot box. That's where the real verdict is. The New York court case that gave its verdict yesterday is a sham. That's what it is. It's a sham and it's a disgrace to our country. But the real verdict, as President Trump said very strongly, will be delivered by the American people on November 5th, 2024, and it'll be a resounding win. 100% we're going to win this election.
Well, we'd have to believe that, that's for sure. And we know it's going to happen. But regardless, the American people, we the people, we have to get together. We have to stand strong because, when it comes down to your kitchen table with your kids and your family sitting there, there's no party there. There's no party there at all. When you're struggling to pay your bills and live there, when's the last time that your party came to you and said, hey, here here's some money to help take care of you, you poor son of a gun. It doesn't happen that way. But what does happen is your vote and the way you treat your vote. Your vote is more valuable than all the money in the bank because you can see it already. It affects your life so deeply. It affects your kids' education. It affects everything. So with that at hand, Gary, I want to thank you. But before we go off, I want you to tell the people how they can get a hold of you. Do you have a site open for donations? Because I got to say, folks, remember, when a person like Gary comes forward, he's not a rich man. You need,
That's true.
You need donations to go forward. You need people to support you, and even if you're not in his district, having people like Gary in the Senate and in any part of office is very, very important because it's for everybody. Because when they get in there, they're a team, all right, and they look at things, with consciousness. And they make sure that everything is the American way. And I would hope you make sure you double check it and make sure it follows our Constitution.
Yes. So thank you, Bill, for the great interview and again for the endorsement. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Your patriotic support means a lot to me and our campaign, and I really appreciate it.
So tell them where to go. Where do they go if they want to donate?
Yes, sir. So the campaign website is www.garybarveforamerica.com. I'll spell it for you. It's Gary, that's spelled Gary. Barve, that's spelled B as in boy, A as in America, R as in Republican, V as in victory, E as in elephant, foramerica.com. So it's www.garybarveforamerica.com. And if you liked what Bill and I had to say today, and if you would like to support our campaign in any capacity, if it's in the form of volunteering or if it's in the form of campaign contribution, you can connect with me through the campaign website, or you can, if you want to make a campaign contribution, you can do it through the donate button on the campaign website. I will fight for you, the American people, and I will help President Trump make America great again. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gary. Appreciate it very much.
Yes, sir.
I loved having you on the show.
Thank you.
And the last note here, I do want to say I have to give credit to Taken TV because they're the ones that are making this all possible. They actually run all our equipment and they supply us with everything we need. And if you're a person out there or a business that you think that you want to take and you want to do your own podcast or do something about it or even come up with some kind of a commercial, contact Taken TV because they have the equipment and they're good people to work with. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure as well. Thank you. Let's make America great again. Thank you very much.
Yes.